Hello, in this video we will discuss about the aerobic and anaerobic glycolysis. What is the difference between the aerobic and anaerobic glycolysis? So we will learn about all things. So let's begin to understand. Basically in bacteria, the glycolysis occurs only but the animal cell are eukaryotes, which does contain mitochondria, so it means the oxidative phosphorylation will occur and the aerobic glycolysis can be. So that is anaerobic glycolysis in the bacteria to produce ATP, NADH, acetic acid and lactic acid and alcohol that is known as the alcohol fermented bacteria, methane, the methanogens, acetobacters through acetic and the lactic acid, the lactobacillus. So the microscopic view will show the microorganism. Here is the structure. This structure contains a plasmid and DNA, but the mitochondria is not appearing. We can show only the plasmid and DNA or other things. So this is a flagella, plasmid and DNA, and this is a prokaryotes, not a true nucleus. So the glucose will be used in the absence of oxygen is the anaerobic respiration to produce ATP, lactic acid and acetic acid through lactobacillus or acetobacter or alcohol production or methanogens or others and produce carbon dioxide. But in the case of the human, like the mammals and animal, the bird and other organism which that contain a tissue contain a eukaryotic cell. This eukaryotic cell contain nucleus and mitochondria contain itself the DNA in the form of circular. This is the nucleus chromosome and this is the endoplasmic reticulum used for the synthesis of the protein, the maturation. Golgi bodies is used for the further maturation and the complete vesicle formation and plasma membrane, and this is the mitochondria. But in this video we will focusing on the mitochondria to understand. So the mitochondria contain electron transport chain, use the oxygen to produce ATP, and in this way after the glycolysis the pyruvate will go into the mitochondria to convert acetyl CoA, and acetyl CoA require the oxygen to oxidative phosphorylation. So the breathing physically respiration through breathing will lead to inspiration of oxygen and expiration of carbon dioxide. So this blood circulatory system, the blood vessel. So this is the physical respiration will enter the blood, oxygen bind with the hemoglobin and it will be transported to the mitochondria. So remember mitochondria transportation but the release of the carbon dioxide as a byproduct into the blood circulatory system and exhale. So let's begin to understand the glycolysis. This is the glucose formation. This breakdown occur. So the glucose 6-phosphate through glucose 6-phosphorylase enzyme and ATP used to produce ADP and transformation of phosphate group to form a glucose 6-phosphate. Glucomutase enzyme used to produce the fructose 6-phosphate and the further is the fructose 1,6-bisphosphate, and in this way the glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate or dihydroxyacetone phosphate 2 molecule can be produced splitting. This splitting of 2 molecule is contain 3 carbon. So NAD plus will use to reduce the NADH and to produce a 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate. It is the reversible reaction. And further the 3-phosphoglycerate and 2-phosphoglycerate, and in this way the phosphoenol pyruvate and ultimately pyruvate will be formed. So this pyruvate is the central metabolic molecule contain 3 carbon. So when oxygen will use SH-CoA enzyme used to release the carbon dioxide while the acetyl-CoA form in the presence of oxygen, remember. So aerobic respiration or aerobic glycolysis by this mechanism to produce acetyl-CoA go into the mitochondria to produce more ATP. While this is a pyruvate for even when convert in the absence of oxygen, and NADH will be used to produce the NAD plus, and in this way lactate and the ethanol, methanol and acetic acid will be formed through acetobacter or methanogen or other. So in this way the NADH is using, because the NADH will be used again and also produce the energy, remember. But remember that things, the NADH will not use in the electron transport chain in the anaerobic glycolysis. So remember, this is the oxidative phosphorylation if we will discuss the aerobic respiration. So aerobic respiration, aerobic glycolysis require the production of pyruvate will enter into the mitochondria to convert acetyl-CoA and Krebs cycle to produce NADH and FADH2 to produce ATP, because this molecule will be used in the electron transport chain to produce ATP through ATP synthase enzyme, and NAD plus will be converted again, and this is the oxidative phosphorylation. And in this way, remember, this NAD plus will be used again in the glycolysis to produce work. Anyhow, here is the blood circulatory system. The breathing in the oxygen and breathing out the carbon dioxide. Oxygen will use an ADP and inorganic phosphate to produce ATP, and carbon dioxide release as a cellular respiration because the mitochondria is using the oxygen. So remember the difference between the aerobic glycolysis and anaerobic glycolysis. The aerobic glycolysis will pyruvate produce, but the NADH will be used in the mitochondria. But in the case of anaerobic glycolysis, mean the NADH will be used for the production of lactate and alcohol, etc. So the aerobic glycolysis is a part of aerobes like human, but anaerobic glycolysis occurs also in the human during hard exercise. Less oxygen to produces lactate. The lactic acidosis in the muscle lead to increase the blood acidity and cause the lactic acidosis and decrease the pH and lead to also the ischemia is involved for the anaerobic glycolysis. So remember that the acetyl-CoA will not produce in the anaerobic organism, while the acetyl-CoA will produce in the aerobic organism. So I hope you make sense about the difference between the aerobic and anaerobic glycolysis. If you like this video, please make sure to subscribe, like and share, and also give the comment below for understanding better, and I will make a biochemistry lecture in the next video, and you can give me suggestion, and thanks for watching. Okay, bye.